What's going on, guys? It's Jake from Game Domain, and welcome to Morph Ball, a Game Domain documentary. Wow, it's almost been 33 years since the release of the original Metroid, and quite frankly, none of us here at Game Domain were even alive to see the original game released. But that doesn't mean we haven't played it, of course, along with all of its incredible predecessors. So we can say that we have been alive to see this series grow, improve, and morph into a ball of greatness. All the years of the Metroid series has brought us 14 games currently under the name of the Metroid franchise, and even the 15th game coming out this year. Right, Nintendo? I mean, you teased us a year and a half ago about this thing. I think it's time to just tell us more than just the title, Metroid Prime 4. Oh, sorry, got a bit off track there. What were we talking about? Right, Metroid Doc. And although we just talked about some frustration about the Metroid series recently, there is no doubt that this series has only brought us the primest of joy over the past 33 years. Get it? Because Metroid Prime. Wow, this is certainly a rough intro. Let's refresh here. The original Metroid game was way back in 1986. Yeah, that's a long time ago. Just as an example, the New York Mets won 108 games that year and won the World Series. That's how long ago we're talking. In all seriousness, the Metroid series is certainly a very in-depth and well-done one, and we thought that it was a perfect fit for our next documentary. And since there are 14 games in the franchise, we're just going to briefly cover them when we get to the games section of the doc, because it would take a while for us to give our full takes on each one. We'll save that for when we make a video ranking the Metroid games. And with that said, welcome to Morph Ball, a Game Domain documentary. Conception and history of the Metroid franchise. Around the time of the release of their brand new Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo tagged their development team known as Research and Development 1, or R&D 1 for short, with the task of developing a title to be released in the summer of 1986. The company wanted to make this game strictly an action game, with an interesting story as well. This game was to be a shooting game that had both the combined elements of platform jumping found in Super Mario Bros. And the non-linear exploration factor found in The Legend of Zelda. But this wasn't all the crew wanted, as they wanted to make this game also feel a tad bit darker and more sinister than the Nintendo titles that came before it. The title was to be first released to the public on August 6th, 1986 in Japan, titled Metroid. The popular title would then be released in the West, as North America would first see Metroid in August of 1987, and Europe would see the title in January of 1988. The title's success and clever level design, character creation, and gameplay animations would end up with Nintendo launching a sequel to the now famed title called Metroid 2, The Return of Samus. These two games would spawn one of the most popular gaming franchises and one of Nintendo's most beloved. The Metroid series has been able to keep up its momentum all the way up until now in 2019, where the hype for the unreleased Metroid Prime 4 is steadily building every single day. Now, let's get into the evolution of the individual games that get to call themselves part of this famed franchise. And just for your knowledge, we're going to be referring to all of the American release dates and just general dates when we refer to the games in this video. Evolution of the Metroid games. In August of 1987, we in North America first got introduced to the game that caused a storm of hype overseas in Japan. The incredibly outdated graphics and clunky gameplay are obsolete in today's gaming standards, even though it's so much fun and you guys should totally play it. We just can't help but love the look and feel of the original game. The eerie and creepy feel that the level design and plot gave off was something we were just not very used to coming from Nintendo, and it was truly a feature about the title that all the fans fell in love with immediately. The game's creepified score accompanies the feeling of the game so well, and it just blends together perfectly. The game follows the story of Samus Aran, who would evolve into the series' main character. Her main job in the original game is to travel through the planet Zebes and stop the space pirates from obtaining galactic domination by manipulating the Metroid organism. The climax of the game features Samus defeating both of the Mother Brain's guardians, Kraid and Ridley. Yes, the same Ridley from Smash Ultimate. Samus then defeats the Mother Brain and the game promptly ends in a peaceful fashion. In November of 1991, we saw the release of Metroid 2, The Return of Samus. This was the first of the sequels in the Metroid series. Coming a little over 5 years after the initial release of Metroid in Japan, the series was now considered as expanding. The second title quickly put the Metroid series alongside the likes of Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda. Metroid 2 was released for the original Game Boy, so we did see a slight decrease in graphical appearance and gameplay mechanics from the original, as well as a lack of color, of course. The Galactic Federation has found the entire Metroid species too dangerous to exist, as they were very vulnerable to the possible domination that Mother Brain could have achieved back by taking them over during the events of the original Metroid. Samus defeats all of the Metroid, including the Queen Metroid, only to discover one unhatched Metroid egg. Right as Samus is about to open fire on the egg hatches and has the belief that Samus is its mother. The newborn helps Samus back to her ship, and Samus takes the specimen to the series research station for study. 3 years later, we received Super Metroid, a direct sequel to the events of Metroid 2 for the Nintendo Super Entertainment System, or SNES for short. The graphical enhancements due to the improved engine on the SNES certainly made the game more enjoyable to play, as the gameplay was just so much better looking and smoother than anything we experienced previously in the first 2 installments of the Metroid series. The story takes place right where Metroid 2 left off, as the game begins with Samus receiving a distress call from the research station as she is leaving. When Samus returns to the lab, she finds Ridley stealing the hatchling after he had killed all of the scientists. Ridley then takes the hatchling back to Mother Brain's rebuilt base on Zebes. Samus uses her smarts to follow Ridley back to the base and once again wipes out all of the space pirates, and is set for yet another duel with the Mother Brain. The Metroid hatchling saved Samus from near death, but is shortly after slain by the Mother Brain. Samus uses the Hyper Beam, a result of the death of the hatchling, to destroy the Mother Brain again. A countdown then ensues and Samus escapes the collapsing planet in time, flying away as Zebes blows up behind her. After the incredibly positive reception of Super Metroid, Nintendo sure did take a while to give us the next Metroid title. And finally, after years of anticipation and hype buildup, Nintendo gave us the 4th installment of the Metroid series, in the form of Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance in 2002. The gameplay mechanics and graphics were fairly similar to that of the previous game on the SNES, as there was really no significant fallback or enhancement in a graphical or gameplay mechanical sense. Samus begins the story as a bodyguard for researchers on the Metroid's home planet of SR-388. But she is infected by a harmful parasite. She goes through extensive surgery that removes parts of her armor and receives an injection of the vaccine created with the DNA of the hatchling. Rather than being fully cured of the parasite fuses into her armor and gives her more power. She sets off to check a disturbance at the biological lab's research station and discovers that another parasite had taken over Samus's old suit and had been multiplying mimics of her. Samus discovers a secret breeding plant while she is fending off the clones, and the parasite ejects the Metroid into space, killing them all. The Secret Federation shifts their focus over to the parasites rather than the Metroids. Samus turns the computer controlling the plant onto her side and tells Samus that she should alter the propulsion of the station in order to destroy the planet. Samus fights her way back to the ship and encounters the Omega Metroid. The SAX clone returns and attempts to kill the Omega Metroid, but is damaged in doing so. Samus takes in the parasite to regain energy needed in her suit, and defeats the Omega Metroid. She manages to escape the planet before it crashes into SR-388. In the same year, same month, and technically in the same day as Metroid Fusion, we got Metroid Prime for the GameCube. Metroid Prime was the most revolutionary and important game in the entire Metroid series, as it was the first Metroid game to feature 3D graphics like Nintendo's other popular franchises already did years prior. We were now finally able to see the wonderful world of Metroid in the same 3D fashion we got to see Hyrule and the Mushroom Kingdom in. The story starts with Samus receiving yet another distress call, as this is from the planet Talon 4. The call is in reference to the space pirates trying to manipulate a native radioactive substance on the planet. Samus raids a space pirate mining operation and collects the needed artifacts to access the sealed-off impact crater. After defeating Ridley, yet again, she dives deeper into the site and encounters the Metroid Prime. During the climactic battle, the Prime takes Samus's suit away from her. Samus flees the impact site without her suit, and the credits roll in a cliffhanger ending. We would only have to wait 2 years until the next installment of the Metroid series, as we would get Metroid Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advanced 2 years later in 2004. This game was a remake of the original Metroid, and of course, was a graphically enhanced retelling of the original story. It's not just a remake, as the story serves as almost a post-game to that of the original Metroid. After defeating the Mother Brain, Samus crash lands on the surface of the planet due to another space pirate attacking her. She ends up finding more powerful armor in the mothership while she is trying to escape, and uses it to her advantage in defeating the Ridley robot. Samus then escapes the mothership as it self-destructs, which as you can see is an act she is fairly used to throughout the series. Later in that same year, in November to be exact, we would get another Metroid title, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes on the Nintendo GameCube. This game is the sequel to the original Metroid Prime, and is also the first game in the series to have a multiplayer feature. There are different game modes playable with up to 4 players at once in split-screen fashion, which is very appealing to the people who criticize the series for not being multiplayer compatible. Samus is sent off to investigate the mysterious disappearance of a marine squadron on the planet Aether. Samus discovers them to have all been slain and suspected to have been killed by the Ing race. Samus encounters members of the Luminoth and learns that the Aether had been split into 2 different dimensions due to a meteor impact. Samus ventures into the Dark Aether and absorbs the dark energy into her suit to bring it back to the Light Aether and restore the energy. The Ing were now destroyed along with the Dark Aether. Samus still has to take down 2 final bosses, the Emperor Ing and Dark Samus. Both are defeated and Dark Samus vaporizes into dust. But as Samus flees, the dark version of herself is shown reforming in outer space. The following year, in 2005, we would get Metroid Prime Pinball. Yeah, you heard that right. A pinball game. This was the first Metroid game to be released on the brand new Nintendo DS, and it's literally just a pinball version of the original Metroid. Yep, literally the same story, but in pinball form. Good job, Nintendo, I guess? Just going on the record here, I love pinball, so this was cool. 1 year later, we would get another real Metroid title. I mean, you can't consider that a real game, right? In the form of Metroid Prime Hunters. Prime Hunters was the first real Metroid title on the DS, and it was in a fairly similar 3D fashion than the series' GameCube counterparts, albeit with worse graphics of course. The story begins off with yet another Samus send-off, with this being in regards to an unusual message referring to an ultimate power. The message is suspected to be coming from somewhere in the Tetra Galaxy, and Samus is sent to an Alembic cluster there to investigate. Upon arrival, Samus sees 6 other bounty hunters, all with the same motive as her, to see what is going on. The message is revealed to be a trap of sorts, a false telling sent out by a Goria. The ancient Goria attacked the other hunters and attempts to take away the energy that they had just gained. Samus is able to slay the Goria and escapes the cluster with the other hunters alive as well. The next game we would receive would be 1 year later, and the most recent installment of the Metroid Prime series, not counting Metroid Prime 4 because we haven't played that yet. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption would be the first Metroid game on the Nintendo Wii, and the motion controls improved the targeting system of the game drastically. The gameplay was much smoother and graphically improved than what we previously had on the GameCube and the DS, and the story was fairly inducing as well. The story takes place 6 months after the events of Metroid Prime 2, as Samus and a few bounty hunters discuss a space pirate infection sweeping through the computer network. The pirates were trying to shut down the Galactic Federation server because it would allow them to attack without word spreading across the galaxy too quickly. Samus loses in a battle to Dark Samus, and it results in her being asleep for a month. She is told that after a large-scale battle on the planet Norian that was launched by the space pirates, Samus gained the ability to enter a hyper-mode attack frenzy with a new device in her suit, the PED. The Federation sets off to the planet of Phase, which is the source of the mysterious Phazon material, and engages with the space pirates on their way. Samus enters the depths of the planet and defeats both Dark Samus and Phase, restoring her pure form and cleansing the galaxy of the Phazon. This game wrapped up the original wave of the Metroid Prime series, which is referred to as the Metroid Prime trilogy. The second wave? Well, that is of course until Metroid Prime 4 coming out later this year. Right, Nintendo? Right. 3 years later, in 2010, we would receive the series' final title to be released on the Nintendo Wii. Metroid Other M takes place in between Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion, as we go back in time just a bit in this great title for the Wii. Yet another distress call leads Samus to a mysterious air vessel. She is welcomed at the ship by some Galactic Federation soldiers, along with some of her closest friends. It is now learned that the ship was directed by Madeline Bergman, who is trying to conduct research on bioweapons. Samus finds a survivor who claims to be this woman, but is actually an android disguising itself as her. The soldiers are slain by a mysterious assassin whose identity is never truly revealed. Samus discovers that the bioweapons are actually Metroids that have been modified to be invisible with no known weaknesses. Samus defeats a queen and ends up finding the real Madeline Bergman. Bergman tells Samus that the AI used by the android to portray her appearance was designed to build a relationship with the Metroids from a human standpoint. The artificial intelligence, called MB, appears and attacks Samus and Madeline. The MB is quickly stopped in its action by the Galactic Federation reinforcement soldiers, and they all escape the ship with no harm. The epilogue would feature Samus going back to retrieve her friend Adam's helmet. 6 years later, we would get another Metroid spin-off title, with Metroid Prime Federation Force being released on the Nintendo 3DS. The game is a fairly basic 4-player co-op game with missions based off the Metroid Prime series. The last Metroid game to be released was just 2 years ago in 2017, with Metroid Samus Returns. Samus Returns is a remake of Metroid 2, Return of Samus, and was released on the Nintendo 3DS. In June 2017, Nintendo announced that Metroid Prime 4 was being worked on for the Nintendo Switch. We have seen absolutely nothing about this game, other than what we believe is to be an official Metroid Prime 4 logo. Hopefully sometime this late winter or early spring, we will get some more information about this next step in the Metroid Prime series. Metroid fandom and hype for Metroid Prime 4. Metroid fans are really something that we don't see in a lot of franchises. Sure, every franchise has their incredibly strong base of fans that sleep, eat, and breathe the very game. And Metroid's fanbase isn't one of the biggest of Nintendo's core franchises, but it could arguably be the strongest. The group of fans that avidly play the series are so in love with the lore, the characters, and all of the games. Metroid is just like The Legend of Zelda in the fact that each of the games is highly well received by both critics and fans. I mean, look at all the incredible hype built up around Metroid Prime 4, as we haven't got a true main series Metroid title in 9 years. We have known about Metroid Prime 4 for a year and a half now, and the hype is only getting bigger and bigger. Boy, can we not wait to get our hands on Metroid Prime 4. For so long, we have loved this famed series. 33 years to be exact. Out of Nintendo's major franchises, Metroid is right next to Super Mario as the oldest, and we just can't help but love all the games that we have already gotten and the games we are going to keep getting in the future. The characters that have come out of this series have become iconic among Nintendo fans, more specifically Samus and Ridley, who have been featured in Super Smash Bros. Whether or not you have played the Metroid series, or just been indirectly connected to it by playing Samus and Smash, we are all part of a unique group of Nintendo fans. Since 1986, we have received nothing but excellence in regards to the Metroid series, and it's safe to say that will be the case for more decades to come. Thanks for tuning into Morph Ball, a Game Domain doc. We hope you enjoyed our documentary today, and be sure to tell us what you think in the comments section below. While you're down there, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And check out the Pokemon doc, and our Select Your Fighters doc as well. We also have exciting news to tell you guys about, and that is we have launched a second channel called Film Domain. We're starting off slowly by launching a 2 videos a week upload schedule, so please make sure you show your support by heading over to Film Domain via the link in our description, and subscribe. There we hope to cover various topics related to film series like the Marvel series, Star Wars, and anything that is popular in Hollywood at the moment. We will be covering topics such as theories, breaking news, and even rumored leaks about upcoming movies as well. Also, don't forget to go over and follow our Instagram @RealGameDomain. There, we will be giving channel updates as well as exclusive sneak peeks to future projects, series, and videos. Be sure to check out some of our more recent videos, which we will leave links for in the description, as well as our Discord and new info regarding new channel updates. Our Discord is open to you guys to come and chat with our staff members and each other about gaming, so don't be afraid to join. We have great discussions about gaming topics in our Discord, and it is a great way to communicate and even play with fellow gaming fanatics and viewers of our channel. Down in the description, we also have links to our merchandise stores, as there you can purchase an array of Game Domain merch ranging from mousepads to even phone cases. Stay tuned to Game Domain for more great content, and thanks for watching Morph Ball, a Game Domain doc.
Attention, all Game Domain fans. We hope you enjoyed this video. Now, if you did, remember to subscribe, like this video, and then check out some of our other videos. Please join our Discord to chat with our staff and our other GD fans. Also, check out our Patreon, our merch store, and other links all down in the description. Thank you.